Hi, Dave. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
All right, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So, you are known as Flat Earth Dave. I actually referenced a lot of your stuff, especially your app, for my Flat Earth episode and my Firmament episode.
Nice, appreciate that. It's a great resource if I do say so myself. With all the
I
censorship,
liked it.
yeah, with all the censorship going on, the app is a way to get around that and get people that are willing to look. This is such an interesting topic where people refuse to look. Now, did you know the name of my original podcast?
No, what was it?
I had a super big podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole.
Oh, well,
Out of
because it makes sense.
yeah, out of New York City, and we were looking into all of the stuff that you're not allowed to talk about on YouTube, from the New York event to all the other ones. And in the third year, people started sending me flat Earth stuff, and I was just like, "Oh, you're an idiot!" Like, I'll look into anything. Flat Earth, step too far, and I would ban them for. I came up with the term "ban for life," because you're too stupid to even listen to a podcast. I'm not going to watch your 1 minute video. I don't have time for that. And then my friend Sophia Smallstorm, another researcher, convinced me to look. And I went in with a bad attitude. I went in to disprove it, to prove the globe
Yeah.
and shut all those stupid flurfs up. And here I am, Flat Earth Dave, 10 years later.
So that's how it all started. So when you first looked into it, did were you surprised with what you found?
I was shocked. I refused to look at it. The brain programming that we've had in our lives. We all say, it's too stupid. I'm not going to look in it. What about sunsets? What about seasons? What about day and night? And you have all of the ships over the horizon. You have all of these things that you think are proofs that you've actually never verified, and you refuse to look. And then when you do look, and most people look with, I said, a bad attitude, where they go in trying to just prove what they already believe to be true rather than looking for the truth. I mean, when you investigate something, you say, okay, is it this or is it that? Let's figure it out. Most people that go into flat Earth go, I'm going to disprove stupid flat Earth. I'm going to prove the globe. And if you do it honestly, you always come out the other side. It's not a globe. And it is beyond obvious. And all flat earthers have the same thing in common. One, just like I said, we refused to look. Then we looked. We couldn't believe it. And then it turns out you wonder, how did I ever believe the globe model? How did I ever believe it? Because it's so ridiculous. Flat earthers know more about the heliocentric globe model than globe earthers do. And the reason is because if they knew a tenth of what we know, they would be flat earthers. That's
Right.
how, yeah. And what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. We all were programmed to say that. We were all programmed to say that. And that is the biggest deception there, because actually everything changes. I don't even know what today is. I think today is Monday, right? Right?
I think today's Monday.
Yeah, it is Monday. So I do what I love now. It doesn't matter the day of the week. My saying, I say it to everybody every day. Thank God it's Friday. Every day I say that. Thank God it's Friday, because it doesn't matter. So when you actually understand who you are, where you are, what this place isn't, we're still trying to figure out what it is. Everything opens up. A world of possibilities opens up.
So let's talk about the meme. You know the meme, right? So you have like all the different planets and they're in a row and they're all round and then you see like the flat Earth just like floating in space. Obviously that's not what it is. So let's talk about that. Why do people keep going to that? Because they want to make fun of this or what?
Well, it's very funny because we say if the Earth was a globe, there would be no flat earthers, and that's a fact because somebody would have proven it already. And when you
Yeah.
Google flat Earth, you get that pancake in space,
Yeah.
or the meme you're talking about. They go, oh, what are all the other planets flat? Are we the only pancake? Right? When you see that meme of all the planets and then the pancake flat Earth floating in space, that is I'm spacing on the term, where you have two choices and they're both wrong. A It'll come to me. Everybody will write in the comments. Um, what is it? Oh God, I use the term every day. It'll come to me. I'll scream it out later when we're not even talking about this. Um,
That's how it always works.
Yeah, it's bumming me out that I can't think of the words. But it's two false models, right? We're not a
Right.
disk floating in space. Space, we don't believe exists like they tell us. It's actually impossible. So, we always say that the globers, they always have to strawman us. A flat earther will never address sunsets. We always address sunsets, right? A flat earther can never explain this. We've explained it 100 times. You just don't want to listen. And then they'll strawman us. They'll say, "Oh, flat earthers think the sun's 3,000 miles away and 30 miles wide." That's a possibility, but we don't claim that. There's all sorts of stuff that they constantly strawman us with. And then you have shows like National Geographic and PBS where they come to our experiments and do and film there, and then they use camera tricks and they lie. They actually fake footage. We've caught them faking footage. They came there to prove the Earth is a globe, and then they edit footage. And it's not a theory. We caught them. We caught them. Right? Nat Geo, we caught them faking footage. Why would they have to fake footage? Why would they have to lie about experiments?
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like it's not even, the debate is over. The argument's over. It's just getting people to look at the evidence. The evidence is ridiculous. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Right? There's 3 baskets. Works on a flat Earth, works on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. Some things work on both, and works only on a globe Earth. And there's nothing in that third basket. There's nothing. If you could find one thing to put in that third basket, you win 3 Bitcoins from me.
So then everybody says, well, what about the pictures of the Earth being round, right?
Yeah. What about the pictures of the Earth being round? If you look at the pictures from NASA, it's unbelievable. On my app, if you go to the images section, just type in Earth from space, or just type in Earth, you'll see there's all these pictures from NASA. There's one montage of 9 different pictures from NASA. Every one of them is completely different than the other one. So at least 8 of them have to be fake, if not all 9, right? Why would NASA not be able to take a picture of Earth? NASA agrees they don't have any photographs of Earth. They have pictures and images. They'll say that all day long, but a picture and an image is not a photograph. For some reason, they don't want to lie, but they lie all the time. They just literally twist and turn, But I think
Deception.
yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But you flat earthers claim everything's fake. No, we prove it's fake, right? Oh, you guys think the Earth is flat because it looks flat, because it measures flat, because the horizon's flat, and because no matter how high we go, we don't see any curvature, and because there is no measurable spinning. But 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 you guys think it's a globe and can't come up with any reasons why, other than it's a globe because tis globe. That's
We were
that's their
told that
thing.
it's a globe, so
Yeah,
that's
we
what
were
it
told.
is.
Yeah, tis globe. That's what they say. Oh, tis globe. That's their excuse.
Well, and the fact is, like, everyone, like, nobody can prove it, right? But everyone's like, well, that's what we've been told it is, so that's what we're just gonna believe it.
Here's the problem. It's a problem because,
Why would they lie to us?
well, why would they lie? That's my favorite question of all. Um, People are good until they become evil, right? Until they get perverted. When you're born like an angel, right? And it's
Hmm.
only how you're brought up, and if you become evil, right? So most people are good, and they can't imagine deception like this. The amount of deception in this world, even for people like you and I that really look into this stuff and really think about it, it's shocking. It's overwhelming. It's beyond what even you and I can imagine, right?
Oh yeah, and we do all this all the time, and
Yeah,
it's even more than what we can
it's
find.
it's even more than we can find. I mean, like the stuff that's coming out with P Diddy and whatnot. I mean, it's insane what's going on, and I don't
Hmm.
even like looking at it. It's like I can't. When you say I can't imagine, that's right. You can't imagine, right?
It's so much worse.
Yeah, it's worse. And a lot of people just rather, I'm really happy I've got my job and I get 2 weeks off a year that they pay me, and I get 2 weeks to go, spend a ton of money on a vacation somewhere, and and then when I'm 65, I can retire and live barely, and
Yeah.
it's like that's not life. You're supposed to enjoy life and experience this incredible realm that we're in. Have you looked into the old world very much? I assume you have.
A little bit.
Yeah, on my app, there's a button with a griffin on it, and that's the old world button, and it takes you to some great channels, some great stuff. You think flat Earth is big? This is just as big. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I think it was Eddie Bravo that said, was Eddie Bravo or Sam Tripoli, some one of those guys. They said when they discovered flat Earth, they were kind of bummed because they're like, well, I'll never have my mind blown that much again. I'll never that's I'll never have my mind blown that much again. That's kind of like you discover the Earth is flat. That's like there can't be anything bigger. No, you constantly have your mind blown in when you're looking into this stuff. Constantly, every day, all the time. Usually before 9 a.m., my mind is blown every single day. Okay? Every single day with new stuff. And the word boredom doesn't exist anymore.
Because
Doesn't
there's so
exist.
much to find.
There's so much. There's so much. Like just it's when you go outside, like even if you go into like New York City or into the woods, there's so much that you've been walking by your whole life and never even noticed. It's right in front of you, probably in your own town. There's like an old church in your own town made of stone, and it's got the frequency pattern, windows on the front of it and stuff. You have to remember that was built before power tools, allegedly. Okay, and
Allegedly.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's like the pyramids.
the
Oh,
pyramids are nothing compared to some of the stuff we're finding now. I mean, yes, the pyramids are incredible. They're incredible.
right.
There, listen, figuring out what happened, why it all went away, we can talk about that all the time. But there's no question it was here just a couple hundred
Yes.
years ago, not thousands of years ago, like 150, 200 years ago, there was an advanced civilization worldwide here, right? With all sorts of stuff. I think you and Tyler talked about Fittest Flat Earther, talked about dragons a little bit. Did dragons come up in your
We did.
conversation?
We talked about dragons and giants, and that's actually why I invited him onto the podcast was to talk
Yeah.
about dragons and giants. And then I was like, you know what? Whatever we talk about, let's just do that because it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have him on again soon because like we just
There's
had such a good conversation.
we found a 1920 something 27 dictionary, and you look up dragons in it, and it says winged serpent creature or whatever, and it says now very rare.
So they're still here.
Now very rare. Well, that's in the 1920s. You know,
1920, yeah.
Tyler thinks there's some big ones under the ocean and stuff. I can't deny. He sends me stuff all the time. He goes, "What do you think about this?" I says, "Can't rule it out." That's my thing. Like I used to rule out that flat Earth. I ruled it out. You can't rule it out. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah, because it could be true. You don't know. I don't debunk things on my podcast. That's just not my thing. If you want to debunk something, you can. Go try, do it, whatever. You put in that effort. I'm gonna put in the effort to tell you what the theories are because a lot of times I found that I'm telling you these conspiracy theories and they're not actually theories, they're real life, but you just like don't want to believe them, so we just like call them conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst, right? We look at,
Yeah.
people are, I don't believe in conspiracies. Wait a minute. Do you even know the definition of a conspiracy? A conspiracy is when two or more people conspire for their own benefit. There's a conspiracy in your own home. Okay. Two people
Oh
in your
yeah.
home are conspiring for their own benefit, right?
My children are constantly conspiring
Yeah,
against me all the time.
absolutely, absolutely. So it's everywhere, and if you don't believe that governments are out for their own interests, then maybe you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. Maybe you're not ready for anything. So it's a lot of people freak out when they learn something new like this, like flat Earth or dragons or whatever, and they freak out. Don't freak out. It's okay. I mean, this world is an amazing, amazing realm we live in, and what is this place? We're trying to figure it out, but it is awesome. It is interesting, and we're here at this time for a very purpose. And you just need to find your purpose. You need to understand it, and it's not too hard to do. Your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts literally create reality. If you believe something or don't believe something, it's true. Either way,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, your thoughts create your physical reality. They don't want you to know that.
So let's talk about the why. Like, why? Why would they lie to us about flat Earth versus a globe? Can you answer that question? Because I'm sure that's like the number one question you get, right?
Well, it starts off with well, what I saw broke over the horizon, a season, how they, and then if the person takes the time and listens to the answer, it's like circumnavigation. How does that work? And then you explain it to them, they're like, oh. And then they gish gallop from point to point to point, and then when they finally realize that they're going nowhere, they throw their hands up and they go, "What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I still have to go to school on Monday, whatever it is." And that's a great place to be. That means that okay, you're ready. On my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. There is a button, question mark button, that brings you to the frequently asked questions, and that's the list of there's one of the sections is why the lie? Why would they lie? And it's the greatest videos there. I'll try to do it justice there, but I'm telling you, just those videos alone that are all being hidden from you on Google, you'll never find them on your own. Um, will blow your mind. So if you had a pet tiger, a lion, full size lion, and you had a quarter acre fenced in, he's not going to be very happy, right? Put him
No way.
in 5 miles fenced in, he's going to pace that fence, right? But you put him in 50,000 acres fenced in, he's cool. He comes up to the fence, he's just going to turn around and forget about the fence, right? Put a human in there, you know, see the fence? He wants to go to the other side. You can fence in 24,901 miles all the way around. As soon as he sees that fence, he's going to want to go to the other side, right? So
Yep.
they literally put a fence around us, right? So this world, now again, to prove the earth is flat, we don't need to go beyond where they're allowing us to go, which is 60 degrees south. There's no independent exploration beyond 60 degrees south latitude. You can, pay a ton of money to go on a short couple day trip to Antarctica, freeze your butt off, look at some lights in the sky, let some ice, see some penguins, and then you're out. But they don't let you explore south because I think there's more land. I think there's more civilizations, there's more resources, and there's a lot of evidence. If you watch some of my other interviews, they can all be found on the app and flatearthdave.com interviews button. Um, we found ships that were in the middle of Antarctica. I mean, Antarctica is supposedly a continent, 10,000 miles in circumference. And we saw a ship like 900 miles from the shoreline inside Antarctica, an active ship. You have ship tracking sites.
Yeah.
And so we click on the ship, and normally on the ship tracking sites, it tells you where it's going, the captain's name, tons of information. All it said is this ship is 850 meters long and 80 meters wide. That is a jumbo ship.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. And all it says is it was registered to the nation of Kiribati, or it's Kiribati, but it's pronounced Kiribati, right? Right. And so I go look on Google Earth, and it's a tiny little sandbar in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that you don't even see it show up on Google Earth until you're like super low. And then all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Right. So when I go there, I have a pin on it. And thank God I put a pin on it because since we made these videos about it, they changed it. You can't find it that easy anymore. It takes you somewhere else when you search for Kiribati.
Interesting.
And they changed the name to Karamati with an M instead of a B. All of a sudden,
Yeah,
out
because
of
they don't
nowhere.
want you to know. Yeah.
Right. So I contend that and on the United States, China, Vietnam, they all say that, and other countries say that Kiribati is a very, very important trade route. Well, why does a sandbar in the middle of, how come that's a trade route? What are they stopping there? Getting sand? What are they getting fuel? What are they doing? Right? And
Right.
I contend that they're actually are trading with civilizations in the outer lands. So when you go out to the shoreline of our world, which is Antarctica, there may be openings that go out and there's more land out there. So if there's more land, that would be extra territory. If somebody lived on the extra territory in the outer land, you might consider them an extraterrestrial
Extraterrestrials.
from outer space, the
Yep.
outer space. And then, there's all sorts of like where are we getting our technology from? There's so much stuff that makes no sense. We were talking to somebody that was worked for one of the big chip manufacturers, and they said they worked in the chip engineering department, and they say that they have these chips and they constantly try to make them better, and they make tiny, tiny, tiny little improvements, right? But then all of a sudden, the semiconductor world says we need a chip that's 5 times faster, and they all scratch their heads, and then the CEO comes out and goes, "Here, use this chip." And then they reverse engineer it and they start creating that chip. Where did that chip come from? They said
Right.
this
Like, where do you get
happens
that?
again and again and again. Every time they need a better chip, all of a sudden a better chip shows up and then they just start mass producing it. So maybe we're trading computer chips. Maybe we're trading tuna fish or children or weapons or just other technology. Who knows what we're trading out there? But it is a fascinating thing. So there you go.
I have so many questions. I know my dad's a conspiracy theorist. That's why I am here. I think everyone has heard me say that at this point. Um, so I was there recently and my dad was like, "Have you ever seen an encyclopedia from like the 1950s, like early 1950s or before?" He's like, "You gotta, if you ever get a chance to get your hands on one, get it." Or like a series of encyclopedias because in the early or like 1950s or earlier encyclopedias, they have this wall that they found in
Yep.
Antarctica. Yep, there you go. You got it.
Is that
Hold
that's
up.
not the wall? That's I'm just looking at. I was looking. I think I have an image somewhere of it. But go ahead. Tell me about the wall in Antarctica.
So they explain about this wall, right? You go to Antarctica and they have this wall and they're like I can't remember the exact words that they said, but something about being like so tall it goes on and on and on forever. Well, or like as far as I could see. Well, wouldn't that be the firmament that they're talking about? And then they now after the 1950s, they and like the treaty with Antarctica and all that, now that's out of encyclopedias and you can't find that information
Right.
anymore.
In the 1958 Encyclopedia Americana, if you look up Antarctica, it says that the dome ceiling at 85 degrees south is at 13,000 feet. The dome,
Yes, there it
the
is.
dome ceiling at 13,000 feet. And if you look at all the mountains in Antarctica, when they show you Antarctica, it's a continent under a ball. But if you unwind it, if you unwrap it, it's literally just mountains that are on the outer edge of our world. And they're all named, ready? Dome A, Dome B, Dome C. They're all named Dome and a letter. Why are they called Dome?
Why is Antarctica the only continent that the entire world agrees that we should, just use it for research and everybody just agrees on it?
Right. And Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. If you look at all the other continents on Earth, the Antarctica is more than double the height. So large bodies of water at rest need containment, and Antarctica is more than twice the height of any other continent. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Yeah, twice the height. It's more than twice the height. So think about it.
That's
For those of
huge.
you,
That's so much.
those of you that know that are just new to this information, we're not a disk floating in space. We're not floating in space. We don't believe in space. That we are the foundation of the world. We're in a pressurized, enclosed system. I don't know how wide it is. Maybe it does connect down in Antarctica, or maybe it goes on for thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of miles. And there's other ponds out there. So we're a pond, and the shoreline of our pond is Antarctica. So if we sail to the edge of our pond, you don't fall off, you step up. Now you're on the land and you start moving away. What if you go 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, and there's another pond? Another pond. That would be another world. It's all fascinating.
Isn't it interesting that so when I was in the Navy, anytime we'd go overseas, we'd always call it hopping the pond. And I was like, why do we say that? Like I never really like put all the pieces together. I just thought like, okay, that's just what people say, right? We're gonna go hop the pond.
Yeah.
But when you put all the pieces actually together, hmm,
We're, we're,
what do
we're,
those pilots know?
We're hopping the pond. And, people are like, what about circumnavigation? Well, at the center of our pond is our north magnetic pole. So there's something magnetic at the center of our pond. So imagine yourself, you're on a pond 100 miles around, 100 miles across. It's a big pond, right? You're
Big pond.
25 miles from the shore. You can't see the shoreline and you can't see the mountain at the center because it's 25 miles away. Maybe you can see it a little bit, right? And your compass will point to the center of that lake. So if you try to go east or west, you're going to just make a circle around that northern point. That's how you circumnavigate. Billions of people have circumnavigated the earth east and west. Zero have done it south.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never really thought about that. Because you're right. Everyone goes around east and west. Nobody goes.
Nobody goes south. Now you can go north from America. You go north, you go over Alaska, and then as soon as you pass the North Pole, which they don't let you go directly over for a very good reason, then you're going south, even though you're going in the same straight line, right? You go from, America, you're going north, 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 and then after you pass the center, you're going south, 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 south. Every straight line, no matter what direction you go, is south. South is every direction away from the center. If you don't know what I'm saying,
That makes sense. Yeah.
go out in your yard, find a tree, and say that's my North Pole, and it's a big magnet, right? So you and I are standing with our backs to the tree, facing in different directions. Our backs are facing north. We start walking away in opposite directions. We're both walking south because we're walking
That's
away
true.
from
Yeah.
north. So if we were 10 feet from the tree and I point at the tree with my right arm, I'm pointing north. And my left arm, I point straight forward. So I'm making a 90-degree thing. I'm pointing west. Now, if I try to go west, I have to keep turning to the right. Otherwise, I'm going south. Because think of where the tree is. If I don't
Yeah.
keep turning to the right, the tree will end up being behind me. That's north. That means I'm going south. That does not prove the earth is flat, though, because it's the same on a globe. Here's the issue. On a globe, in the southern hemisphere, when you go west, you have to keep correcting to the south to go around that equidistant point from the south. That's on a globe. But we have Navy ship captains and stuff that are always talking that say when they're trying to dead reckon in the Indian Ocean, east or west, 270 or 90 degrees, they constantly have to correct to the north. That's only possible on a globe, on a flat earth.
But they don't let you know that.
Yeah.
They don't
They,
let you
they
know any of this.
yeah, they just deny, don't let you don't no, there's so many
Those people are
testimonies. Yeah.
crazy.
There's so many military guys that are whistleblowers that have talked about stuff in the military where they're able to target things way beyond what Earth curvature would allow, and radar, how it doesn't you need line of sight and they can see things at the proper altitudes, and they never ever ever factor in curvature when you would have to factor in curvature. Well, the earth is so big, you don't have to factor it in. At 100 miles, there's 6,600 feet of curvature. They're hitting laser targets over 100 miles away. They're hitting it with the railgun, can shoot a projectile over 100 miles away. They can target it with a laser and then hit it with a straight line of projectile. It would have to go over a mountain over a mile high to get to that target.
If the earth was round.
If the earth was spherical, correct. Right?
But if it's not, then they could hit that, which is what they're doing.
Yeah. So I was when I was on a flight just the other day, and the pilot said we're about 300 miles from the airport. We'll start our descent in 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I got this. 20 minutes, 500 miles an hour. In 20 minutes, we're going to be 125 miles from the airport. And then they start what's called rate of descent, right? Where they say, okay, we're 125 miles out. I need to drop X number of feet per minute so I can hit the runway, right?
Hmm.
The problem is at 125 miles out, if they don't calculate in curvature, they're going to end up 2 miles higher than the runway, but they use calculations for a flat plane.
And
They
it
don't.
works every time.
It works every time. And you ask a pilot that, some will just be like, just they'll short circuit, and some of them will go, I have to think about that. And then you hand them my card, tell them to go to flatearthdave.com, and and then they destroy their lives by realizing they're flying. I'd rather fly with a pilot that knows the Earth is not spinning and flat than one that thinks that we're spinning and whirling and twirling, and he's going to land on a runway that's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. I'd rather be with the flat Earth pilot, and there are lots of them. I have a Delta pilot, which I talk to all the time, and other pilots. They're constantly telling me stuff that only works on a flat Earth.
That's because they're up there all the time. They can see it.
Yeah.
So pilots are like some of the best people to ask because they are literally looking at the Earth.
But a lot of them just are glorified bus drivers. They just take off and
Oh
land.
yeah.
They don't think about it, right? They don't think about it. They're like, oh well, that's all in the machines. They calculate for that. You're burr, burr. No, it's not true. It's not true at all. When they calculate their rate of descent, you have to calculate in curvature if there's curvature, but there is no curvature. You
Well,
know,
even snipers, like snipers don't calculate in the curvature of the Earth when
or the
they're gonna shoot
Coriolis.
over a mile.
No,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's another thing. And we there was a sniper that shot, I think recently, world record 4 miles, I think it was. Was it 4 miles?
Wow.
Something ridiculous. Like the bullet was in the air for like 23 or 7 seconds or something. It was
Wow.
crazy. Crazy. And we asked one of our guys asked him if he calculated Coriolis, and he's like, no, he didn't calculate Coriolis at all.
They'd never have to because
They can't. How would you even calculate Coriolis? Because every degree off of exactly east or west or north, whatever direction you're shooting, would have a completely different calculation. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. It's so ridiculous. Think about this. You know the SR-71 Blackbird? It's the spy plane.
yeah.
It's that slick plane. It goes 2,300 miles per hour. Okay.
Wow.
They now have one that's SR-72 that goes 4,000 miles an hour. The SR-71, I know
That's
that it can't
crazy.
turn left or right or up or down at full speed. It can only go straight because there's too much tension. There's too much,
Yeah.
it'll rip apart. The G forces will be too strong. So 4,000 miles per hour, the in 1 hour, it's 4,000 miles. The plane would have to descend just to follow the Earth. Ready? At 1 mile per second, and I'm rounding down. 1 mile per second. Okay. So that is way faster than free fall speed. Okay.
Yeah.
So how does it with wings going through the air? Most planes, when they fly, they nose up just a little bit, 1 or 2 or 3 degrees. Let's
Hmm.
just say the SR-72 can fly dead level because it's going so fast, right? How can it drop at a mile per second through the air?
And not completely destroy.
It's beyond physics. It's like, how can we have high pressure adjacent to a void, a vacuum of space? Oh, gravity! They'll scream. It defies physics. They can defy physics. With the globals, they'll say, "Oh yeah, the magic gravity and whatever." But if we say anything that defies physics, which we don't, because everything we say actually makes sense. So like, well, who's moving your sun around? It's like they ask questions like that, right? If your sun is in inside the dome, who's moving it? Who built it? They'll ask questions like that, and those are it's ridiculous. But the globe is so ridiculous that people say, you explain something like I just explained, and a lot of people just short circuit. They're like, oh, I don't have a degree. I was not good at math. I'm sure there's an answer, but I'm not smart enough. No.
Right.
You're not stupid. It's stupid. Okay? It's stupid. The globe is stupid. You're not stupid, right? And the people with a degree, what is the degree? What is when you get a degree, a doctorate, or become a teacher? What does that mean? Does that mean that you're smart? No, it means
No, it
that
means you've been indoctrinated to the system.
you can memorize and regurgitate what the Rockefellers want you to believe, right? If
Yep.
you memorize, like if I wrote the book of BS, right? The book of BS, it's like a foot thick, right? And I gave it to you. and you memorized the entire thing, and I said, I gave you a test and you aced it. You can now teach the book of BS to everybody else.
because you know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, because you've memorized and regurgitated. So teachers are good people, but they're not allowed to think for themselves because if they do, they get in trouble. They just want their tenure, they want their retirement, right? They think they're helping kids by teaching them complete and total nonsense. All of our history is a lie. Dave, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Tell me something that's true. Tell me something that's
I'm
true.
telling you something that's true.
Everything you say is a conspiracy. And so you know what I used to say? I used to say, well, Sully landed that plane on the Hudson River. Remember that when it got hit by a bird on takeoff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it didn't happen. That was a fake story too. Okay? It's a fake story. Well, why would they do that? That's we can talk about that all day, but they did it, and there's evidence that they did it. Okay? That they faked it. So when people say, is everything a conspiracy? I don't want to say yes, but I'm really having a difficult time finding, any major event that's been real. What about these school shootings? What about I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's bad. Listen,
It's
if
so bad.
listen, if you want, why am I talking about flat Earth when there's so much crazy, insane insanity going on in the world from child trafficking, P. Diddy, all of that stuff, that rabbit hole, and everything else? Why am I talking about flat Earth? Because this is the foundation of the lies. This is the way they keep us slaves. They keep us confused. They keep us lost. They keep us disconnected from our true power. They keep us from understanding where we are and the true power that we have. They keep us as slaves on their ball field. If you're in their ball field, you have to play with their ball field rules, right? And then you play
Right.
with their fiat fake money, which is all make believe, right? Money is just an illusion in your imagination, right? Well, it
Yep.
works. It's because everybody thinks it works. That's why it works, right? If everyone realized that, the Federal Reserve is not even a federal, it's just a bunch of private bankers that create money and lend it to our government at interest. It's like it's the dumbest thing ever, right? So so why the lie? It's literally to keep us as though that's a rough word, but slaves in their corporate system. And this is, people don't realize that this is a spiritual war that we're in. They want our what's called louche energy. They want this energy from us being scared, lonely, afraid. Um, that's the energy that they feed off of. It's a dark energy. And and the way they win this war is they keep us really dumbed down. They keep us not believing in a spiritual war. They keep us not knowing who we are, spinning out of control, lost in space, versus when you unplug from their ball matrix and you understand where you stand and the true power that you have, you take back your power immediately, right? I'm only one person. What difference can I make? You can make all the difference in the world, right? People are waking up. My app on the Friend Finder hit over 200,000 people. It's going way higher than that. There's millions and millions and millions of flat earthers, and it's expanding every day. We are literally at the tipping point, and there's so many big things coming out. I did the Roseanne Barr podcast. That was big. Then I went on Jim Brewer, and that one went kind of viral. And there's a lot of bigger podcasts talking to myself and other flat earthers now that want to come out publicly. They know, but everyone's afraid. Oh, we can't talk about this. Our listeners are going to freak out. That's what it used to be in 2014. Listeners freak out. Now, I'm telling you, more than half your audience is waking up to this, and soon it'll be
Oh
everybody.
yeah.
Soon it'll be everybody.
Do you think that COVID had an effect on this shift that we're seeing?
Yeah, the funny thing is, the no flat earthers fell for it. No flat earthers fell for it, right? We all saw through it.
Hmm.
We all saw through that. Why is that? Why did flat earthers no one fell for the whole CV thing and the jibby jab? How come, 99% of them or more didn't fall for it? There's something to it. And there's something to unplugging from the ball matrix, but I'm showing you a little heat map of the people that have my app on the East Coast here. It's pretty crazy. It's worldwide, and
That's not what I'm seeing. I'm just
oh,
still seeing the
you're not
plane
seeing
with
it.
the.
There you
Nope.
go. There it is. There it is. Sorry about
There
that.
it is. Okay. No,
Yeah.
that's okay.
So, yeah. There's the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You can get it on my website, flatearthdave.com. It's Android. You can do a direct download, Google Play, or Apple App Store. Um,
And it's great. There are so many fantastic resources in this app. I
yeah.
used it heavily for my Flat Earth episode, for my Firmament episode. I know that Tyler probably has this app. Like, it's a great app.
Tyler, so on the app, if you refer the app to people, you can you have a referral code, and if people use your referral code, you get points. And now we have a cryptocurrency part of it, and the referral will there's a subscription. The app's $3 one time price, and then there's some higher features like the chatting, the dating site, the meetup maker. Um, that's $11 a year, pretty friggin' cheap. But if you get 11
Oh
points,
yeah.
11 referrals, you can get that. You get that for free. But we're giving out Dome cryptocurrency too. We did an airdrop where everybody got a bunch of Dome. It's worth $45 already. What we gave out for free to 1,400 people. Um, but if you look, Tyler is number two on the leaderboard of the top 100 of people with referrals. So it's there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the app, and if you're unsure, just go to my website, flatearthdave.com. Go down till you see a big picture of me, and then click it says crash course, and watch the crash course videos. I just say start there, and then you'll be on your way.
And I'll put my referral code in the
What is your referral
show
code?
notes. I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
So if you go hit the handshake button, and then in the top, there's three buttons on the left hand side. You hit the middle button, and then your referral code will be right there. And if you anyone that downloads the app, put in her referral code, and you'll get a point, and you'll get 1.5 million dome. If you put in your wallet address, but there's all information that teach you how to do that. Do you see your code?
I'm trying to find it. Hold on. I've messed up my phone now. Hold on.
Okay, no
I gotta
problem.
get it.
No problem.
First, I gotta find my app. So that's the problem. Is
Yeah,
that my phone's a little wonky. So I gotta.
just search flat. It'll come right up. So,
There it is. Hold on. I'm getting it. I had to update.
okay, no problem. And have you put in your crypto wallet address yet, or you don't have a crypto wallet address?
I don't have a crypto wallet address.
So
Well, my husband does. My
this
husband
is
does. So
yeah, this is one. The instructions are right in the app in the instructions section. And if you just put in your wallet address, you get free crypto. If it's worth nothing, you've lost nothing. It's worth something though, and we think that this coin has actually a lot of utility. The way it's mined is by opening mines. Every time somebody downloads the app, we release more coins.
well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband's super into crypto, and so he has.
Tell them to go to domeshot.io, domeshot.io. And that's where you can find all the information about the app and Dome and how it's mined and everything. And it's pretty cool.
I I'm messed up. My phone's all messed up. So I will put
In
my
your
referral
opening,
code in the.
when you record the opening, talk about
Yeah,
your referral code right there. Okay.
perfect. I'll put it
Yeah.
in there. That
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
everybody has it.
Awesome. Make sure you customize your referral code because it's a random number and there's a little pencil next to that and just customize it anything up to 7 characters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Make it short,
Uh,
your initials, whatever
yeah,
your podcast initials, whatever it is. So
make it easy.
enough
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely. That's cool.
Yeah, so we covered why the lie.
Hmm.
What else you want to cover?
I want to talk about the sun because that's everyone's biggest thing. They're like, well, what about
Yeah.
the sun? The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? We all see it. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
The sun circles the earth just like the moon and the stars do. They're moving above the earth. We're not moving. The sun just goes around wherever, if you're looking top down, wherever the sun is, it's noon. Now, the sun gets a little complicated because we all see the sun in an apparent position. You know, like when you're driving down the road, it looks like the moon and the sun follow you. Well, it's because you're
Yeah.
seeing it in an apparent position. Um, and there's on the app on the frequently asked questions page, where does the sun go? There's a great section which will break all of your pre-programming on, that we're spinning. Like when you're watching the sunset, you have to believe, if you believe you live on a globe, you believe that the sun is staying still. You're on a ball falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. And that's making the sun appear to go down when in fact it's just going away, right? The sun just goes away, and due to perspective, it gets lower and lower in the sky, and then it just goes beyond the horizon. Um, the where does the sun go section on the app is amazing, and if you just watch it, you'll break your programming and see what's going on. The sun just goes away, and it takes its light with it, and light doesn't travel for billions and billions of miles or years. Excuse me. It just moves around and it takes its light with it. It's a local small light.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like an optical illusion, right?
Well, it's I don't want to say an optical illusion. It goes away, and then the horizon is actually thousands and thousands of feet above your eye level. The atmosphere, let's say the thickest part of the atmosphere is 20,000 feet. Well, over 30, 40 miles, that all compresses into your horizon line. So it becomes opaque. And the sun's
Hmm.
above that, and it just goes away. I'm showing here, I got a coin on a table. The camera's slightly below the table, and it sets. It's exactly like the sun, but you
Yeah.
can't tell the difference of that horizon. Like I was out on the water here. The land is, 20, 30 feet above the water. Then there's 150-foot trees. And so you have a tree line, almost 200 feet above the water. But when I'm just a mile away from those trees, 1 mile, the tops of those trees look like they're at my eye height. And then if
Yeah.
you go 10, 20 miles away, it just becomes a line that I see as Earth. And then the sun just goes beyond it. Beyond it. Like if you were in New York City and you're standing in the middle of the street and there's a 50-story building and it's 12 noon and you're looking straight up at the sun. And then you stand there and the sun moves over to it's now 1 o'clock. And now it's beyond the building. You can't see it because the building's in the way, right? You know it's still in the sky, but it's just beyond the building. Now, if you went backwards 25 miles, the top of that building would look like it's at your eye level and you'd be able to see the sun again. And as the sun goes away, perspective is going to push it down again. And then eventually it's going to go beyond the building. But from your point of view, it looks like it's dropping below the horizon.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. From where I'm at right now, I can see like the whole front range, like the Rocky Mountains. And I mean, they're all different heights and different, but they all look, I mean,
Yeah, but the farther away,
level.
they'll disappear into the sky. The atmosphere will block the mountains if they're big enough, where you can't even see them. And then as the sun goes away, it'll just go beyond them and be gone. I mean, the
Yeah.
the, the sky is an amazing com compilation of optical illusions. It really is. And when you understand how what's going on with all of them, it'll blow your mind.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen the information or the theory, right, about the black hole sun being below our flat Earth. Can we talk about that a little bit?
That's an interesting one. You saw the Freemason guy showing where how the black hole sun is down there, the guy that's drawing on
Yeah.
the whiteboard. Um, it makes a lot of sense. I actually think that the sun and the star and the moon that we see are sort of a projection, perhaps from the center of the Earth there. And I think that the northern stars are the only stars that are spinning around. And then in the south, we're seeing a mirror reflection of them. So we're seeing counter rotating stars in the south. Now, here's an interesting thing. Um, we sent up a balloon at nighttime in Arizona, and it was a super clear night. And this time we had the cameras pointing up. Even before it left the ground, we could see the stars. So what's going and we're in the middle of the darkness in the middle of nowhere. But as you go up higher and higher, those stars are just going to get clearer and clearer because you're getting up above the thickest part of the atmosphere, above where any remnants of clouds would be, right?
Yeah.
The weird thing was, as this balloon went up, when it hit 60, 70,000 feet, all the stars disappeared. Now, in a
Dude,
heliocentric model, they should just get brighter and brighter and clearer and clearer.
absolutely.
But they
Yeah.
all disappeared. Can you explain that? Because I can't.
I can't. I'm like
They,
blown away.
yeah, yeah. They all disappear. And when we send balloons up, we don't see any stars when they're at 120,000 feet. We just see black sky. And the weird thing is, people go, well, what about satellites? I can see satellites. And you go out at night and, especially like down in the Caribbean, you see these lights whizzing by. They're not airplanes. They're going too fast. They're tiny little lights. And you're supposed to
Yep.
believe that that is reflecting sunlight down to your eye. And it goes from horizon to horizon, somehow perfectly reflecting light. Okay. But when we're up, when they're doing spacewalks on the International Space Station, you never see satellites. Now, they're doing spacewalks. The sun's behind them. It's a full Earth. That means that any satellites would be in direct line of the sun and that would come right back at you. They should see all of those satellites. And there's supposedly 30,000 of them. Never once do you see any. It makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever. But they'll just say tis globe, tis globe.
It's crazy. I mean, like the more, and as with, I think everybody has said this, the more you look into it, the more you're like, oh my God, we live on a flat earth. But like, people don't want to, like, I didn't want to look into it. I told Tyler this too. Like, this was my most requested episode. And I was like, I'm not, guys, come on. I don't want to do the flat earth. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nobody leaves flat earth. Sounds like a cult, right? It's not a cult. It's
Yeah.
truth. It's a truth, right? Because think about it. If the earth was a globe, if it was a globe, there would be physical proof. There's none. There's none. You think there's some. You can lie to yourself. You can make up all crazy. Well, this formula, Eratosthenes figured it out with sticks and shadows 2,000 years ago. Oh yeah, show me today. Okay, but the whole Eratosthenes thing works on a flat Earth with a small local sun. It doesn't prove either. And then the whole idea that Eratosthenes did his sticks and shadows, he sent his buddy 500 miles away. You know how he knew he went 500 miles?
Oh,
He counted his steps. And now he's 500 miles away. You know the Eratosthenes story? The
I
what the
don't. I wanted you, can you
so,
just,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't know it, but I'm sure other people don't know it either.
So this is what we're taught in school that 2,000 years ago, as a Greek mathematician said he knew that the Earth was a globe somehow, and he wanted to figure out the size. So he said because all of the sun rays come in parallel because the sun's so far away. Wait a minute. Have you ever seen parallel sun rays? They all come in crepuscular. They all spread out, right? But somehow,
Yeah.
right? So we'll give him the okay parallel rays. So he sent his buddy, he noticed. The story was he noticed on a certain day of the year at a certain time of the day, noon, I guess, he could see the reflection of the sun in the bottom of a well, which means that the sun is directly above him. That's a good observation. That's something you could say, okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That if the Earth is a globe, it wouldn't be the same 500 miles away. We wouldn't be able to see it. So he's like, oh, we can do it with sticks also. We can put a stick straight up in the air on that same day and they'll have no shadow because the sun's directly above it. But if the Earth is a globe, his buddy would have a stick and it would have a shadow. They can measure the length of the shadow and then do some good math and figure out the sphericity of the Earth. And if the Earth is a globe, that works. First, his buddy counted his steps 500 miles. Then somehow
500 miles. He
500
counted his
miles. He
steps.
counted his steps. Imagine that 17,958. What? Oh, wait, what number was I on? Oh, shit. Like
Yeah, that's
Whatever.
not gonna work.
So he gets there. And then also 500 miles, is he in the same time zone? Like, how does he know when to measure the shadow? How do they talk to each other? This is
Because
like,
yeah, 2,000 years ago
yeah, how do they talk to each other? They have a long, string and a tin can, right? So
for 500 miles.
500 miles, right? So so on a flat Earth with a small local sun, it works the same. Get two posts, get two bottles, whatever. Put them on a table, a couple feet apart. Hold a light directly over one of them, a couple of feet over one of them. There's no shadow, and the other one will have a shadow. You can do some calculations with the length of that shadow and figure out the sphericity of your completely flat table, right? It's just math. Math is not reality. Math is just math.
Right.
So, it's great. The Globers, they're like, oh yeah, Eratosthenes 2,000 years ago, and Copernicus, all of their proofs are hundreds of years old. There's nothing today. There's just these guys a long time ago. Copernicus with his shiny glass made a telescope that can see Mars better than we can today. You know, or Galileo.
But all of that, they believed the Earth was flat. Even then, they thought
Yeah,
the Earth was flat.
well, no. They're supposedly, but when Eratosthenes, they believed that the Earth was geocentric. So if the Earth is geocentric, how can they believe in a giant sun 93 million miles away circling a tiny little Earth? Right. So either way, it's like their stories are so convoluted. The problem is people are so dumbed down, so fluoridated, so indoctrinated that they can't think through half of what we just said. They literally, they haven't exercised their brain to actually think critically. That's the problem.
Because they don't have to.
You don't have to.
Because because we talked about the Rockefellers, they wanted to pump out factory workers, not critical thinkers. And that's what they've done. They've done a fantastic job doing that
Right.
because now people, like you said, they memorize and regurgitate, and that's what you do. So then when you like introduce something that's not exactly what they've already learned, they're like, "You're crazy. You're nuts. That's out of here." Right? I'm like, "Is it?"
Right. They want you just not thinking at all. If you want to become rich, invent something that makes people lazier because that's what people want. So think about it. You got to cook for your kids and everything. You got to go shopping. You got to schlep the kids around. You got to prep. You got to cook, serve the food, clean up. Okay, that's the whole friggin' day. What
Yep.
what what do you do? Fast food. Just go get it, pick it up, eat it, throw everything in the garbage. You're done. Right? How do you
Well,
make
and now they'll deliver it to your house too.
how
Like
do
you
you
don't even
make
have to
people how
go.
do you make people lazier than that? DoorDash. Okay?
Yep.
DoorDash. So and look at those, those are all multi-billion dollar industries. So it's it's amazing that people just want the easy way. And the easy way, they've indoctrinated us. Kids are filled with curiosity, and then they go to school and literally their curiosity is just crushed. Right?
Yep.
Right?
Don't think like that. Think like this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, this is it. And then if you question things, they're like, nope, it's in the book this way, and the book is smarter than your common sense.
That's why they've changed math. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you changing math?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. None of it does.
Yeah, it's amazing. And people, still will send their kids to public school. And I understand, in this world, you know, you need two incomes to live, most people. And people just look at it as, daycare. And it's really it's the downfall of our world, the public school system. It really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that.
And they're lying about population. They're trying to depopulate the world, right? So, in many ways, they're in the middle of a massive depopulation event. But one of the greatest depopulation events over the last 100 years is the cost of college. Okay, think about this. Most people don't have more kids because they're worried about college. Well, we gotta
Well, I
wait.
saw a statistic.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, I was just saying you gotta like people like, oh, let's wait, and like I had two kids and I was like, all right, I'm boy and a girl, I'm good, I'm done, right? Because I was worried about college. I was worried about, you gotta save for college and everything. College is a scam, right?
Oh
I say,
yeah.
I
It's
tell
the
people,
biggest indoctrination
I've been
center.
saying it for a while. You know the Crow 777 radio podcast? You know Crow? So
No, I do
it's
not.
CRR, two R's, CRROW777 radio.com. It's a very unique podcast. It's one episode a week, I think, or one or two. And they they cover everything from you know from flat Earth to just being free, old history, just everything. And I tell people, I've been saying this for years, and a whole bunch of people did it. I said, don't send your kids to college. I said, set them up in a house with some friends, give them activities to do, and have them listen to Crow one episode every week. No, one episode every day for 5 days, right? So you get one new one and then four old ones. And then they
Yeah.
have like a discussion at the end of the week, and they talk about them. And then they also garden, and they get a little job, and they learn how to kite surf, and they ride their bikes, and they hike, and they do all this stuff. These kids are more well adjusted than anyone going to college. Right? These are kids that I would hire, right? Because they all of a sudden they get desire, and they start thinking of things, and they're like, I want to do this, you know, and they literally become entrepreneurs rather than corporate slaves. So anybody listen to this that you're worried about college, don't send your kids to college. That is it is, college, like anything they want to learn, we have the internet. You can find things, right? You don't have to travel across the country to find that professor. It's all available online, right? And there's so much information
Everything.
out there. Yeah. There's so much information, and Crow is $8 a month. Okay. It's like it's
Way
unreal.
cheaper.
Yeah, and but even after a month, you're going to see that your kid is now thinking and becoming a functional person in society versus a corporate slave. Remember in college, you're like, why are we learning this? When am I ever going to use this? And the answer is never. The answer is never.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why, if this is my degree, why do I have to take this class? It makes no sense for what I'm going to do in my life. And they're like,
yeah.
but you need a basis. Actually, I had a conversation, or I would say an argument with somebody because I was like, well, why do you need general education classes? That makes no sense. Like you've already had general education in high school. And they're like, well, it's a good baseline. You need a baseline. And I was like, what the fuck was the other 12 years of school then? If you need another baseline in college,
Yeah, it's
wasn't that the
all
point of elementary and middle and high school?
it's all indoctrination, debt-based system of control. They want you, and then
They want your money.
they want your they want well they don't care about your money. They want you in debt because then they can control you. They want
Oh,
you in debt. They
absolutely.
want they want you in debt.
I saw a statistic recently and it said having 3 kids today is like having 10 kids in the 80s. And it was talking about inflation, obviously. And I was like, well, that's the problem is that people don't want to have kids. Even I know a lot of people are like, I can't afford to have kids at all. So I just won't have them, period.
You can't afford not to have kids. How's that?
I love having kids. They're the greatest.
Kids aren't that great. Come on. Don't kid yourself. The kids, they're
I'm
not so
having a great
great.
time.
They're not so great. Yeah, sure you have some good times, but man, they're not the best. No, all right, I'm just kidding. Kids are great. Kids are great. There's a comedian, I forget her name. Just go on YouTube and type in kids, they're not so great. She has like a bunch of 1 minute PSAs and how she's a motherless, childless mother, and she's like, it's 11 a.m. on a Monday. I'm having a glass of wine. I don't have kids. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
I mean, there are pros and cons.
No,
You
I'm
have
just I'm
to
just kidding.
raise the
Kids are
children.
great. Kids are we're meant to have children and populate this world, and they want us to believe that
That's the
we're
point.
overpopulated. They're lying about population too. You know that the population of this
They're
world
lying about everything.
is I think
Nothing
is
surprises me.
less than 3 billion.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's
stupid.
yeah.
All the things when you start to really realize how much they've lied to you, and then the more you find out, you're like, I'm not surprised.
Are you
If they're
on
gonna lie about the Earth being round,
yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Are you aware of the nuke hoax?
Like
Nuke
how many nukes we have,
No, there's
or
there's no nuclear bombs. They don't exist. Nuclear
that
bombs
doesn't
don't
surprise me
exist.
either.
That's a fact. On my website, flatearthdave.com, scroll way down until you see the nuclear bomb banner. and then listen to there's a couple podcasts actually they're on the Crow podcast. He covers it extensively. It's not about belief, it's about knowing. Belief is the enemy of knowing. You can believe anything. You believe I live in Connecticut because I told you I live in Connecticut. You don't know it. Okay? I believe you're moving. I don't know it. You told me you are, right? But once you see the facts, once you understand, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Once you understand what happened there, that people, plants, and animals are living there, are fine. We have more cancer in the United States, and there was, TNT being stacked at ground zero, and 3 days after the bombs went off, the sandwich shops were open. They were selling flowers on the street, and the trains were running, and people were back to work. Right? Wait a minute. I thought a
The
nuclear bomb went
propaganda
off.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one guy was allowed to take pictures and write stories. If anyone took a picture or wrote a story, they were put in jail. Okay. Like what? What is going on? So again, the whole, so now, like, if you watch the news, don't watch the news, by the way, it'll probably give you the C word. Um, they're always talking about the nuclear threat. They got nukes and Iran's got nukes. Nobody has nukes. Anytime you hear them say nukes, you can just laugh and imagine a big clown nose on that person because they're clowns. Now, they might believe it. Probably the higher ups, they know it's not true. But, there's so many truthers out there that still talk about the nuclear threat. No, it's not happening. We're not flying in space. Where there's no nuclear bombs. There's no the deception is all about control, keeping us in fear, living in lack. If you live on a ball, you live in a world of lack, of shortages, of danger. It's not where we
Yeah.
live. FlatEarthDave.com, scroll down, Nuke Hoax, just take the time, plug in your headphones, go for a walk, bike ride, whatever you got to do. Focus, listen, and then you'll know. Think about this. If you're like, let's say the news is on the background or whatever, you read an article, whatever, you're exposed to some news, and they say nuke threat, nuke, China, fucking Iran, right? Every cell in your body is now in a fear state. It literally is like, oh, you don't want to think about it, like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen. But once you know the truth, every cell in your body starts laughing at them, literally laughing. You're just laughing. Like when I hear anyone say nuke, I'm like, oh, there's another clown. Like, and unfortunately, there's so many truthers out there that do good work that still believe in the nuke hoax, still believe in the spinning ball, still believe in Elon Musk, right? What can you do?
I mean, I love these interviews because I feel like I learn something every single time. Like, I feel like I'm pretty well informed. And then every time I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Like, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So it's like really cool to have people on because, like, I don't know everything. I feel like everyone's like, oh my gosh, you know much about conspiracies. I don't know that much about conspiracies. I learned so much from all my people that I
So,
bring on. Like, this is great.
so when I was doing Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, I had a thing called Exposing the Big Three. Now, some of you, when I mention these conspiracies, one or two of them might trigger you, but I don't care. Okay. Because when you see the actual facts, if you're willing to look, it's not a theory that these were all hoaxes. It's a fact. And those three, and in case I put this on YouTube at some point, I'm going to say the thing that happened in New York in September, the thing that happened in Connecticut at the school that sounds like a beach, and the thing that happened at the Boston Marathon, all of them are fake. Now, the New York thing was a false flag. The other ones were hoaxes. Okay. And that's a lot to take in. But if you look at the information, it is undeniable. And where can you find this information? StopLookThink.com. StopLookThink.com. All of the stuff is there. Okay. And here's the thing, it's just like flat Earth. You're triggered. You're like, oh my God, I know somebody that was there. I know a family. How can you say that? Poor children, right? StopLookThink.com. The information's there. And if you have the courage to look and think, you'll know. So again, I called it exposing the big three because I felt that if I woke somebody up to those three things, they would just wake up. But the problem was people would wake up to those things and then they go right back to sleep. And that's when flat Earth came in. I realized
Yeah.
once you wake up to flat Earth, you never go back to sleep. And then all of a sudden you can start to see. because the globe, the spinning globe, literally, metaphorically, has you spinning out of control so you can't see anything. You're insignificant. You're flying through space. You're spinning in four different directions at once, right? How can you see anything? But when you plant yourself on this stationary realm, connect yourself back to the creator, all of a sudden you can see and you can think, and your mind opens up spiritually and mentally, and um, everything changes. But again, there's there's many people that will just short circuit when when they hear those things that I just said. But again, don't believe anything I say. Go verify everything yourself. And I just told you where you can. Stoplookthink.com.
I try to tell people to do their own research. Like, I mean, I can't give it all to you. I can give you as much as I can find, but there's more research than I'm finding. So, Dave, I really appreciate you coming on here and telling us all these things because, I mean, I can say things, right? But that doesn't mean it's correct. But if you hear the same thing from multiple people, maybe you'll start to believe it.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe.
It doesn't
But
matter.
also,
You can hear from multiple people that the earth is a globe. Doesn't make it true. You need to hear these things. You need to think about them. And then you need to go verify yourself. On the app, there's a button that looks like a spider web. And when you click that, there's a whole bunch of more resources. And one of them is experiments, flat earth experiments. And there we've done all the experiments. We've done them for you. We've documented them. We've made it clear. We've shown you. You can reproduce these themselves yourself, but you can also see that we're not faking them. That will show you. That will prove to you. Then again, when I first heard about this and when I first started seeing it, I went out and bought the Nikon P900. It had just come out. And I went out and I started doing long distance observations, and I could see stuff that would be impossible. It would absolutely be impossible. And that's when I was just like, wait a minute, the curvature calculator must be wrong. And I struggled. I struggled to you know reconcile what I was seeing with the globe. And then when you can't, your whole world changes. Everything changes.
well,
So
all
there
these
you go.
resources are fantastic. I mean, your app is fantastic. I used it so much. Um, yeah. Stop, look, think. I didn't even know about that one, so I wrote it down in Crow 777. I wrote that down too, because I want to look into
Two
those
R's in
things.
crow. Two R's in crow. CRR. Don't forget.
So, and I'll link all these things in
Sure.
the show notes. That way, it's easy for people to just click on them.
Yeah,
Um,
in the homeschool section on the app, which is the icon with the little home and the desk, there is a crow button in there, just in case you ever forget.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and we will see you soon. Until next week, my friends, stay skeptical, and I'll see you all then.